So the word in the court is that they call you the deposer. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
A deposer is just somebody who takes depositions. That's it. It's a self-proclaimed name. It's one of the tools that you can use in civil court, and it satisfies my love for criminal. And it's an informal setting, and you're on the record though, but it has the same force and effect as it would in trial. It's a live testimony, and it's used to impeach in a later date should you go to trial. And so, one of the ways that you also can use depositions is through trying to get to that motion for summary judgment. Um, in that you try to elicit certain testimonies on the record that goes and cuts towards their element of causation, of duty, of breach, of damages. And so I like it especially as well because a lot of the plaintiffs, they're everyday people. They have no idea about how to testify, and if you're not prepared, if your counsel doesn't prepare you, it can certainly make you look bad on the record because everything you say is being transcribed for the court. And so if you don't know the legal, parameters in which you're working with and what to say and how certain ways you say things can hurt your case, it can get really bad for you in there.
So when people are doing depositions, essentially the individual or individuals that are being deposed, they may not think that what they're saying is going to have as big of effect in court as it is currently happening as they're being deposed.
Well, initially they don't. The hope is that the attorney counsels them and preps them before they come in the deposition and try to explain to them that, hey, the testimony you're going to give is going to be used later in court if we go to trial. So if you don't know something, they counsel on you what to say when you don't know something or if you're not sure about something. And so for me, it's still you can prep someone all day, but when they get
Mhm.
into that room and they see the court reporter and the videographer there having you on camera, and they see attorney across from them with a notepad and all kind of stuff out ready to talk to you, it can be intimidating, and people forget their words, forget what they said, and yeah, it can get bad for a plaintiff or anybody who's not really prepared to go into that deposition.
Now, you mentioned the word prep, and you mentioned it in the same token as which you mentioned a client. Can you give the audience a bit more background on what it means to prep your client for a trial or any kind of legal proceeding?
Yeah, so prep is short for preparation. It's just like anything you do in life, whether you're at work, behind a McDonald's restaurant, whether you're IT professional or a typical business woman or man, you have to prepare for your job. You can't just show up and do what you're supposed to do and execute properly if you're not prepared. And so a lot of our job as attorneys is thinking ahead of the game. We have to be 10 steps ahead of where our client is because their job is to just relax and be ready to, you know, remember the good facts, preserve certain documents and evidence. But ultimately, we're the ones that's thinking ahead for them and counseling them on what to expect. And so when I say prep or preparation, that just means, hey, sitting them down before the actual deposition and taking them through what they can expect to be asked. If it's a employee for a particular company, they're going to be expected to be asked about the nature of their job, how long they've been at that job, the skill level they have, even a little bit of background information. And they need to be ready to, explain things about what it takes to carry out their day-to-day jobs.
Mhm.
Um, if it is a corporate representative, they have to be prepared to discuss the policies and procedures that are implemented at said company because they're going to be
Mm.
asked about that. And so it's just prepping them for those questions, playing devil's advocate at times to try to elicit testimony. And it's also another opportunity to get the facts and get the real understanding of where our client stands.
Okay,